package deal.
Egypt has said that they will support South Africa's case at the ICJ against Israel for genocide. How is that affecting the negotiations right now, the situation in general, and what is Washington's message to Cairo about this decision on their part?
I can't say that it's helpful to the discussions between Egypt and Israel to try to sort out the humanitarian assistance and access issues, but I do know that Egypt, Israel, the United States, the United Nations, we are all trying to work together to figure out a way forward. So last question.
Thank you. You said at the start of this that you don't believe what's happening in Gaza is genocide. What criterion are you using?
We're using the internationally accepted term for genocide, which includes a focus on intent. And it's not just me standing here at this podium. In the context of this International Court of Justice case at The Hague, the United States actually made a presentation backed up by legal analysis, which I would invite you to read because it lays out all of those criteria.
Francesca Albanese, the Special UN Rapporteur on Human Rights in Palestine, presented one in March. She presented it in Geneva. The three criterion she used, citing international law, 3 acts: Israel's intent to destroy national, ethnic, racial, or religious groups, serious bodily or mental harm to a group, inflicting on a group conditions of life calculated to bring physical destruction in whole or in part within imposing measures intended to prevent birth within a group, process of erasure of the native Palestinians. So those 3 things are happening. How can you say genocide's not being committed?
As I just told you, I think the best way for me to answer that question is actually to ask you to look at the laydown that we gave, which...
Are you saying this isn't happening?
I'm sorry, I thought you asked me how I can say it. I'm saying I'd like you to look at the United States'
I just did. I'm asking, are you saying this isn't happening?
Do you mind if I finish answering your question before you interrupt?
Are you saying that she's a liar?
The United States has laid down at the International Court of Justice in writing, in detail, its position on this issue, and I'd ask you to read it. Thank you.
Are you saying that it doesn't line up with them, with what she's saying?
Thank you, Jake.
Thank you, Jake. Okay, I know, and folks are leaving right now. It's okay. Have an effect on folks. I know there is a call happening in short order, and so, and I know it's about an issue that you all care about, so feel free to step away from the briefing. And I won't be up here too much longer. As you know, we'll have a briefing tomorrow, and the next day, and the next day, and the next day. Got some ready.
At a fundraiser over the weekend, the president began his remarks by talking about Israel. He said, Israel said it's up to Hamas. If they wanted to do it, we could end it tomorrow. It all has to do, and then he cut himself off and said, I shouldn't get into all of this. I don't want to get going. Can you just finish the sentence for us? And what he was trying to say, especially when he was talking about it all has to do with...
Look, I'm obviously, as I say often, certainly going to let the president speak for himself.
But he didn't finish speaking.
I know, but I look, I think obviously Jake Sullivan, the National Security Advisor, came here and gave a very good and detailed, in-depth laydown of where we are. And it's very much where the president is. And talked about humanitarian aid, obviously the importance of getting that into Gaza, and how we want to make sure that we deal with what we're seeing there with the dire situation in Gaza. Obviously, it talks about our continued support. He talked about our continued support for Israel's security. That is ironclad. That is what we want to make sure that, they are able to defend themselves. And so I think all of that remains to be true. Hostage deal, we want to get to a ceasefire and also create a situation where we can get more of that humanitarian aid, bring hostages home. So all of that continues to be true. I think the words that you heard from the President's National Security Advisor, I think is very clear on where the President is. I can't speak beyond that. And, I think the President started out saying what was on his mind, but more broadly, where we are with the situation in Gaza and Israel has been very clear, and we want to continue to lay that out. That is one of the reasons that Jay came out here.
The House is likely to vote on the Israel Security Assistance Support Act later this week, which would ban the administration from withholding military aid to Israel that has been congressionally approved. Is that something that, it's obviously a response to the president's comments over the last week, so is that something that the White House would oppose? Are you talking to Democrats who might be inclined to go with Republicans on this?
So look, I'll start off, I just repeated basically what I wanted to say to this question, which is This president has been very clear. His commitment to Israel's security is ironclad. That has not changed. We share Israel's goal of defeating Hamas, and will continue to stand with Israel to make that happen. We've been very clear. As it relates to the announcement that the president made in the interview last week on CNN, we have paused only one shipment. That includes 2,000 pounds bombs, which can be very destructive in densely populated urban environments, such as Rafah. You heard, obviously, Jake just speak to this. And then so regarding this bill, as you just asked me about, Sungmin, we strongly, strongly oppose attempts to constrain the president's ability to deploy U.S. security assistance consistent with U.S. foreign policy and national security objectives. It is our objective as well that we plan to spend every last cent appropriated consistent with legal obligations, including in the recent supplemental, that national security supplemental that was just passed and the president obviously signed. We are committed to that to that supplemental, so that has not changed. Okay, go ahead, April.
This week, President Biden is going to